I'm David Levin, and welcome to Pop Goes the Culture. I'm really glad to have in the studio with me today a legend, a mentalist. He predicted that he was going to be here today, actually.
And we didn't shake hands yet, you know.
I was about to. The Amazing Kreskin.
David, it's great to see you.
Thank you for coming.
You got to realize, Regis says that my handshake's the dream of every chiropractor.
Well, you know, I'm give it a little shake it off.
It's good. By the way, I got to tell you, you got a classy setting. I love this. I love the background.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you. Good to see you. Since I've been a kid,
and you were a kid.
And I was a kid, and I watched.
Not everybody in broadcasting or television has the same background. It's been a feeling that some came from other planets and other areas. It's a different, as you know, it's a different world.
It is a different world. It is a different world. So what planet did you come from?
Oh, gee. You know, I never thought about that. Someone pulled me out of a comic strip. Because, of course, you wrote a Superman comic at one time.
Well, enough about me.
Yeah, but I love comics. They were a passion of my childhood.
Well, Mandrake the Magician was your favorite,
when I was
wasn't
5 years old, in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, a member of the Polish side of my family, who looked like an older person, a teenager, gave me the action comics, and there was Mandrake was one of the comics. And I used to sit and read piles of comics. My mother would read them to me, but by the time I was 7, I was starting to read early, and that was the image of Mandrake. My image. I wanted to be Mandrake because he wasn't a magician. He had hypnotic abilities, and he read people's thoughts. So it was a real model in my life. It was not someone I ever saw. That was the model.
You read, I suppose you read Sargon, you read Mandrake, you read some of these. And
Mandrake, and then of course you had Ibis the Invincible.
Right.
And then you had Zatara.
Right.
Who the neat thing about Zatara was in Blue Tales, and he said things backwards. Agpa, which meant go up, and he'd float in the air.
Right.
Mandrake didn't do that. Mandrake gestured hypnotically, but because of the success of Mandrake, which was extraordinary. I mean, in the Second World War, I close to #1 in Italy with Mussolini and the Axis power. It was a great concern because it was American written script. So another man took over, which the public doesn't know about now. It's Fellini, and Fellini wrote Mandrake those years.
I didn't know that.
One of the great,
Fellini, the director.
Yeah, one of the great sad failures of his life. He had a great dream. He wanted to do a Mandrake movie, but he says no, it would be a failure. The reason was because in order to resort to graphically communicate that Mandrake was using his mind to influence others, cryptography would be used. He says that's the end of quality movie making, when you distort things by cryptography.
Wow.
The wisdom he had, because Hitchcock did not need to use cryptography to terrify people with Psycho. I had the privilege of being. I feel sorry for movie students and college students today when they understand that Psycho is one of the greatest horror movies ever made, because I saw it when it first came out. It was made an understanding, as Hitchcock's voice said at the end, do not tell anybody about the movie. And I'm terrified about this mother in the attic. And I was with an adult audience in Morristown, New Jersey, 4 or 6 of us, screaming out loud during the movie. As in the horror movie, I mentioned the Cameron movie I saw last night. First time in a long time, literally in the first 10 minutes, I screamed out loud. This is not. But people who go to horror movies with me usually my close friends sit a seat away because I just get involved. So Mandrake, he wanted to do Mandrake as a movie. He never succeeded. He didn't know how to do it. Very interesting thing for a man. It's one of the greatest directors of it. And then 9th grade, I had hot and cold playing in grade school because it was raining outside. And Miss Curtis said, "You can't go out and play. I'm going to teach you a game." And she sent. We were 9 years old. She sent one of the classmates out. It was Jane Hamilton. And we hit a beanbag in the class. It was in someone's desk. And then she brings Jane in and says, "Jane, you walk around. When you're getting near it, we'll see you're getting warm. When you're not near it, hot and cold is children's game."
Right.
Finally, and when you're getting real close to hot, she found the beanbag, and I was so disappointed I couldn't go home to play. We didn't play it. I wasn't picked. So when I went home, I saw my brother. My mother was shocked. My father was at work. I said, Joe, he was 2 years younger. Let's go over to Grandma and Grandpa's. They were from Sicily, the beautiful two-story house. I walked by it all the time in New Jersey. I spent much of my childhood there. I said, hide it upstairs, because they rented it downstairs, which is what many people from foreign countries did to make ends meet. So he called me, he'd hidden this penny, and I ran upstairs, and my grandmother was sitting behind a gigantic table. She was a chef in Italy. On Sundays, 18 of us sat around the table after church. And he hid the penny somewhere in that upstairs. And I walked through the kitchen, walked in my uncle's bedroom, which was a cloth door, climbed on a maroon chair. I was short. I found myself reaching behind a curtain rod, and I suddenly felt the penny, and then I realized I forgot to tell my brother to talk to me. He never spoke, never said a word.
He never said hot and
just
cold.
walked through. My grandmother from Italy thought I had the evil eye. That was the beginning.
Did she start crossing herself? Or
Nobody got around the family, and I started, and then by the time I was in fourth grade, I was performing in classrooms in sixth grade, and then I was doing private shows for money, big money. There was no minimum wage in those days. If anyone going into show thinks of minimum wage, get out of the business. Get your ass away. You're not worth it. I wouldn't even hire you, because when you start in this business, you work for nothing.
Well, it's a minimum wage, but eventually there's no maximum wage either.
That's right.
So in business, if you hit the certain successful level, there's no
I was getting
telling.
$5 a show. That was big money.
That is maximum wage.
You're going to say from even today for me, no, but that was the.
I'm sure you're doing a little better now.
That was the beginning of my career. I was performing all my life. I remember in Miss Galloway was my teacher in fourth and sixth grade. See, I didn't know this until I finished college. At sixth grade teacher, fourth and sixth grade teacher, I would perform for show and tell every week. Remember, back I said, everybody, think of a movie, a favorite of yours, and I pointed to Gloria Palmer, who was sitting next to Judy Dunn in the back of the classroom in sixth grade, and said, "You're not thinking of a movie you just saw now. Was it around Christmas time?" I named the movie, and it was like 9 months ago. So I didn't realize until after I finished school, my teacher, Miss Galloway, fourth and sixth grade, wrote letters to every teacher I had in high school saying, "I don't understand what he does, but I want you to support and encourage him." How many teachers?
Wow, that's amazing.
That was a remarkable thing. She did more for me than almost any teacher I ever had.
Wow, that's astonishing. That's amazing.
An amazing. Now you're using my term. It was astonishing.
That was astonishing.
Everybody I know has bad arms, and I don't even know why.
How does that happen? I'm going to sit like this for the rest of the interview. That's really an incredible story. Now, so you just had the knack for this. Then you started. It's not like somebody said, "Okay, now we're going to train you to do this."
No, people say, how can I learn? I said, well, any kid of 10 can do it. I do with 30 years of practice. Because I do things now I never thought I would do before. And it was a slow evolution of working with people and audiences and what have you. But see, that's the difference. There's no spotlight. There's no footlights between myself and my audience. My audience is part of what I do. It's an extension. And I always like to compare it with two other people in live show business. Al Jolson, who was before my time, but I revered him as a kid because I saw the Jolson show. And a gal I dated who passed away a few years ago, Barbara, had almost every recording he ever made. But he had a gangplank from the orchestra stage, about 3 foot wide. The orchestra people had to move it, and they went over the middle of the orchestra seat down to about the 22nd seat. It meant that those seats were not full. Who ever heard of a gangplank? Because when he sang, he walked down into the audience and knelt, and that's the way you could kneel and sing Mammy. Now, another group also descended into the audience, and that was the Stripteasers. They went up and down the aisle. So I feel good company. Jolson and Stripteasers.
Yes. But you leave your clothes on, I take it.
Well, God forbid, or
thankfully,
I mean, do a magic act and vanishing the whole damn audience. But that's I think, part of the reason of the success, that I'm really tuning in. Without the people, I have no one to work with. And it's their thinking that is what I've learned to capture and amass.
But you're not. I mean, you're not a psychic, but you also are a showman, which is very. You've created this persona. You've created. You've changed your name to create this persona.
It was Kreskin at one time. It was Kreskin originally.
Right.
And I dropped the GE, a Polish name. It wasn't Polish. My family's name was Vignette from Poland. But people don't know when they came to Ellis Island years ago. Sometimes they went through the people interviewing them, didn't understand what they said. And that's why many names, Jewish, Polish, what have you, were changed when people came to this country, because that's the way they were written, And I didn't want to, there were department stores around in those days, and I had no financial
the Kreskin department.
We shopped there, but we couldn't afford most of the stuff. So I dropped the GE and added KIN. K was the name of a mystery performer in the early days of showbiz, the late 1800s name. The last two letters of his name were IN. His name was Robert Houdin. He was more of an illusionist, but in France today, there are streets named after Robert Houdin because he had created a mystique about him. So I added the IN and put the K before and created the name Kreskin. Other people stole Robin. One man took Robin and added I to the name and created Houdini.
Right.
It was not an original name.
Right.
So, but this is my own. And the amazing I never wanted, but I used to go on plane flights. People were coming off saying, "Hi, amazing." And I thought that was very flattering, but I didn't realize till after 2 years that a week or days before I was on Carson, he had a game with Ed McMahon. So we had Kreskin on 3 weeks ago. He was 90% amazing. No, Johnny, I think it was 92%. It got laughs. And it became a routine. And I finally found out where it came from. Amazing. So I got that copyright.
You got the amazing. My arm is
not amazing.
No. I have special. I knew in advance. I got special padding.
So my life, and then there was the hypnotic factor where I influenced people. Became an immense part of my entire career, both because like when I was 18, a psychologist came to me, Dr. Harold Hansen from Denmark, a brilliant man who was a PhD, had worked for the Army in the intelligence service, and then retired and had a flourishing office in New Jersey, treating people psychologically with psychotherapy. And he says, because I've watched you perform, he says, I want my wife to have a child without an anesthetic.
Okay.
And I said, Harold, do you remember the American Society of Clinical Experimental Hypnosis? Yes. I said, did you please start mentioning prominent specialists? Do anything. I only see her. So I became close to the family because after she had her child without an anesthetic, he came to me and said, I want to give you the I know you travel, you come home, I want you to work with my patients. I worked with about 30 patients a week. When I traveled on Sunday, I stagger them from 6 in the morning till midnight using my help, support. And I didn't have a degree then. And my God, what's the American psychology? He was a wonderful man. He didn't go into some of the crazy theories. He said, whatever works for the work. And whatever works with even producers and directors. I mean, if you want to influence, you have to hit them on the shoulder. That was an incredible part of my life.
Wow.
It changed my life.
Wow.
That's when I came to the conclusion at the end of the years. It's hypnosis. That's it. There is nothing.
Okay, now you had, this is one of the things I wanted to ask you about. I'm going to take 2 seconds, and we're going to come right back, and we're going to talk about that.